Well, the New South Wales Government has introduced new legislation around requirements for water ownership and trades, and works on 3 major dam projects are on track. Joining me now, New South Wales Water Minister Melinda Pavey. Great to see you, Melinda. Those 3 big dam projects, what are they, and what's the time frame on those?
Well, we're going to get work started on Dungowan at Tamworth and Wyangala by October this year. Pre-construction works, relocating a caravan park, which once the dam is done, it'll be infiltrated with water, and a pipeline at Dungowan. They are the early works that will start. We've got a delivery partner. We've had engagement with the private sector, and we've had hundreds of people interested in this COVID area and space that we're in. It's going to be so good for jobs in Tamworth and in around Cowra at Wyangala Dam. But we're also getting ready with final business case work being done on the Mole River up there on the border with Queensland, giving some more security to that unregulated system up there. So it's exciting times. You know, we're talking about probably the biggest investment in water infrastructure since World War II, in fact. So it couldn't be more timely with the work that we need to do to get our economy moving and jobs going.
Melinda, what's this new legislation around requirements for water ownership and trades?
Well, we're actually strengthening the current rules that MPs face. So currently, if you do have, water licences, it is a requirement. So this isn't new. What our bill does is actually strengthen it by saying if you're trading water, you have to make a declaration to the Parliament within 14 days of what the trade is and the profit that you're going to make. So there's been a lot of debate, a lot of conversations about water trading, and I think it's important that we do have our eyes on the ball on that, and that the community understands what water is out there that is owned by parliamentarians, and that's across all parties, and I think it's a good thing to do in terms of accountability. But one of the things we won't be doing at this point in time is asking that there be a water registrar. I've been talking to Victoria actually today. 89% of farmers that responded to a survey really feel concerned about having to put all their water details of their farms and their addresses on a register. And I understand that, because what we did see some months ago, that lobby group, those frantic Greens, going on, they went onto farms in my electorate in Oxley, up near Dorrigo, people going on and interfering with production and creating merry hills. So I understand why our smaller scale farmers are not really that pleased about a water register. But I think for the big guys, this is a conversation we need to have. But New South Wales can't do it alone. Victoria probably the same. We need to do this at a national level, and we'll be able to do that when we see the ACCC report that's going to be handed down shortly. And I think we'll work with the Commonwealth, we'll work across all the state jurisdictions, because it needs to be a wholesome approach as we go ahead with it. And just like, if we have, if you're a major shareholder of an Australian company on the Australian Stock Exchange, if you've got 5% of those shares in a company, then that is detailed and available to the public. I think that's a good premise for us to start from, because we've got to listen to the little guys that, they don't want all their details out there. So I think that's a positive thing to do.
Dorrigo, beautiful part of the world, Melinda. Tell you what, it'd be nice and cool up there at the moment. Now, what about this? I love this story. You're using dogs to find leaks in water networks. How does that work?
Well, some of our guys in Sydney Water saw that this was happening, I think, in Western Australia. And, we're using a Springer Spaniel and a traditional Cocker Spaniel, which doesn't have the big floppy ears. They're actually still a working dog. And their sense of smell is extraordinary. And they showed me this the other day. We had 5 or 6 pipes lined up over around 100 metres, and the dog trainer put some wastewater, or if you like, sewage water, on one of the pipes, and the dogs went straight to that pipe, sniffed it out, and said, this is where the leak is, or this is where that is. And so this is a really clever way. And only a couple of weeks ago in Sydney Water, we launched a robot a mechanical robot to go down into the tunnels, which saves hundreds of man hours and probably one of the most difficult jobs in the water network, you know, checking out where we might have leaks internally. So this is a two-pronged approach, an old-fashioned approach using a really clever animal as well as robots going it down into the water system, because water leaks, they're the enemy, and we've got to make sure that we stamp those out so we get the most out of every precious drop.
Well, they're man's best friend for a reason. And before we go, Melinda, I know you've been very passionate about land management issues in relation to trying to mitigate against bushfires. Now, this is an issue that will come up at the Bushfire Royal Commission. What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for just some common sense. I just want to be able to reflect the views of my community. We lost too many homes in my patch, and you know, people are just wanting to be able to have, you know, a more common sense approach. As I say, you know, John Oxley, the explorer that discovered the ocean from the top of Mount Seaview at the back of Wauchope 200 years ago, he wouldn't be able to get down today because of the vegetation, yet it only took him, you know, a week or so with a bullock dray and a whole search party, a whole explorer party. So I think my main commitment and passion is to get back to the way it was done when white man arrived. Listen and learn to the, listen and learn to the history and the way it used to be done. You know, we did have a very, you know, ferocious season, 3 years of record low inflows into the system. The bush was dry, it was crackling, but we've got to make sure if that happens again, we've got the systems in place to ensure that it doesn't happen with the same ferocity. People have been calling it for a long time. I'm just working on behalf of my beautiful electorate that knows the common sense that is required. We have, you know, an approach going on in New South Wales, so submissions closed. I think last week we put a submission in, and I know a lot of members of my community did. And then on top of that, we've got the Royal Commission, you know, the Commission working at a federal level. They're both great processes, and I think, you know, there's some good learnings when we've got to act and not forget our last summer.
Well, Melinda Pavey, it is a beautiful electorate, and thank you for joining us tonight on Sky News Across Australia.
Thanks, Pete. Great to be with you.